Good evening. Here is the world news from BGI TV, Baba Bagede Imo TV. I am Rrør Rabila Lawal. First are the major headlines for the world news. We won't be stampede, federal government tells US government. Nigeria's police chief IGP Usman Alkali Baba dismisses terror attack in Nigeria. IPOB begs UK to evacuate Kano with its citizens. Taraba parliamentary staff issue 7-day ultimatum to Ishaku. Still on the news, appeal court reverses Umahi deputy sack. Passengers groan as British Airways divert Abuja flights to Lagos over tension. And another foreign story, Burkina Faso recruits 50,000 civilians as army auxiliaries to combat jihadists. And on sport, under 23 African qualifier, Musa promises Olympic Eagles 500,000 per goals. Now the news in detail. The federal government has said it will not be stampeded over the recent travel advisory by United States of America concerning possible terror attacks in Nigeria. Minister of Information Lai Mohammed disclosed this to State House correspondents after the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the Presidential Villa Abuja. According to him, there is no cause for alarm as security agencies are working hard to keep the country safe. He said this so-called travel advisories, as far as we are concerned, as a government, we have in the last few months taken a firm handle of security. Of course, the terrorists will not stop to try to embarrass or intimidate governments, but what I'm saying is that this country is safe and there is no cause for alarm, no cause to panic. He lamented that because of the travel advisory on Sunday, many schools and shops were closed and travel plans disrupted. The concrete step is that people should stop spreading unverified news. You see, look how many school shootings happened in the US, how many senseless killings happened in the US. So have they been able to predict what's going to happen next? Which school is going to be a victim next? Do Nigerians in the US also feel safe? He asked those disseminating such security advisory to stop demarketing their home country, Nigeria. Moving to the next story. Nigeria's police chief Usman Alkali Baba has countered the USA Embassy's alarm of terrorist attack at the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Baba said in a statement released by the Fox spokesperson Olumuyiwa Adejobi on Thursday night that there is no imminent or impending attack on the nation's capital as raised by the United States. Adejobi will release following emergency numbers for and nationwide with a view to avert any attack by the terrorists. Added that the IGP explained that the Nigeria Police Force is working in collaboration with other security agencies to ensure the safety of all residents within the country. The IGP also ordered all strategic police managers in charge of commands and tactical formations within the country to beef up security in their respective jurisdictions, especially in the FCT. Adejobi added that the IGP similarly directed that all emergency numbers across the country should be activated to full capacity for a 24/7 prompt response. According to the spokesperson, the IGP also directed that the combatant officers and men should be on standby to respond to emergency situations and distress calls. Moving on to the next story. Following the warning of a terror attack at the nation's capital, Abuja, the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, has appealed to the United Kingdom, where its leader, Nnamdi Kanu, resides before his rendition to evacuate him alongside with its citizens before the threat come to pass. The group, in a statement by its spokesperson, Emma Powerful, has also warned the federal government against any harm befalling its leader. Powerful said IPOB states unequivocally that Nigeria government and Malami must adhere to and implement the ruling of the Court of Appeal, which declared the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, a free man discharged and acquitted of all spurious allegations and charges. IPOB hereby declared that nothing untoward should happen to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu either in the DSS custody or shortly after his release, because if there is any scratch on him, then the Fulani has entered into a debt that they will never finish paying all the time of their life, Powerful warned. He also added IPOB is monitoring the security situation in Abuja conscientiously and will unleash our own venomous actions on them if they fail to release our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. American intelligence reports about Abuja indicated that Abuja will fall in 190 hours from now and have commenced evacuation of their citizens from Nigeria. IPOB advised British High Commissioner to ensure that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, a British citizen, is evacuated along with the other British citizens in Nigeria. Britain should know that their citizen, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, has been released by a competent court of jurisdiction, but still being illegally detained by terrorists enabling Nigeria government. Taraba State Chapter of the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, PASSN, has issued a 7-day ultimatum to Governor Darius Ishaku over the unpaid outfit allowances of its members. In a bulletin issued on Friday by the leadership of the association, they expressed dismay at the alleged failure of the governor to offset their outfit allowance since it came on board 7 years ago. The association, it will be recalled, had earlier issued a 21-day ultimatum to the governor. Picked by the development, the association vowed to cripple legislative activities after the expiration of the 7-day ultimatum and ordered the governor to do the needful. Signed by its chairman, Ibrahim Bala Yusuf, they said, following expiration of the 21-day ultimatum issued to the leadership of this assembly on issues that borders on the outfit allowance of the staff of this assembly, the leadership of this great union has no option than to issue another 7-day ultimatum to the executive government. Our correspondent gathered that legislative activities would have been paralyzed but for the intervention of Joseph Albasu Kunin, the Speaker of the House of Assembly. Moving on to the next story. The Court of Appeal in Abuja has reversed the March 8th judgment by Justice Inyan Ekpo of the Federal High Court Abuja, sacking Ebonyi Governor David Umahi and his deputy for defecting from the People's Democratic Party (PDP) to All Progressive Congress (APC). A 3-member panel of the Appellate Court held in the judgment on Friday that the nation's constitution did not provide any punishment for a governor or deputy governor who defected from the party on which platform he or she got to the office. In the lead judgment, Justice Aruna Anami, the Appellate Court held that the only option open to a political party aggrieved by the defection of a governor or deputy governor is to explore the impeachment option provided in the constitution of the country. The Court of Appeal in Abuja aligned with an earlier decision on the same issue given by the court's Enugu division. From Umahi's story to the next story in Abuja. A British Airways flight 83 from London Heathrow to Abuja on Thursday suddenly landed in Lagos instead of completing its journey to Abuja over concerns of a terror attack at the country's capital. Checks by People's Gazette on Flight Trader showed the flight changed course upon entering Nigeria airspace on Friday morning. Some passengers on the airplane complained that the flight was diverted to Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos after short notice via email. A passenger on the airplane, Olufemi Ojo, described it as a horrible experience after their flight was delayed upon landing at the airport without prior notice. He said when they landed in Nigeria on Thursday, passengers received a message that the flight would be landed in Lagos before they proceeded to Abuja. Mr. Ojo said passengers waited over an hour at the Lagos airport, accusing British Airways of being unapologetic. A spokesperson for British Airways did not immediately return a request seeking comments about the developments. Moving on to the next story, in case you're just joining, you are watching the world news from BGI TV. From that story of the British Airways, we go to the next story as regards the foreign story from Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso announced this week the launch of a campaign to recruit 50,000 civilian defense volunteers to assist the army in combating jihadists. Since 2015, the country, one of the poorest in the world, has been fighting a deadly jihadist insurgency. Burkina Faso has experienced 2 coups since the beginning of the year, with each new leader accusing the previous of failing to end the violence. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, who took power late last month, appointed a new transition government on Tuesday evening. Colonel Bokore Zongrena, shortly being appointed Minister of Territorial Administration, announced that more civilians would be recruited to combat armed groups. Recruitment has been launched for 35,000 volunteers for the defense of the nation from different districts, he said. Their mission will be to protect the population and belongings of their district alongside the security forces, he added. Completing the world news this hour is a sports story. Super Eagles captain Ahmed Musa has promised the Olympic Eagles 500,000 per goal against Tanzania. The Olympic Eagles will take on the Serengeti boys in the second leg of the 2023 Africa Under-23 Cup of Nations qualifier on Saturday in Ibadan City. The encounter is built for the Lagos Salami Stadium at Adamasimba, Ibadan. Salisu Yusuf side were held to a 1-1 draw in the fourth leg last weekend at the Benjamin Mkpa Stadium, Dar es Salaam. Daily Post scooped that Musa had a phone conversation with the players from his base in Turkey on Friday morning. The overall winners will proceed to the final round of the qualifiers, where they will meet either Uganda or Guinea. The Under-23 AFCON, which Morocco will host in November 2023, will serve as the qualifiers for the 2024 Olympic Games, which will be staged in Paris, France. That ends the world news this hour. Before we go, some quick headlines. Terror alert. We won't be stampeded, federal government tells U.S. government. Nigeria's police chief, IGP Usman Alkali Baba, dismisses terror attack in FCT. Abuja terror attack. IPOB begs UK to evacuate Kanu with its citizens. We're also brought to you. Appeal court reverses Umayi, deputy's sack. And finally, on the 23 AFCON qualifiers, Musa promises Olympic Eagles 500,000 on each goal scored. For more updates on YouTube, our handle is Baba Bagede Imo TV. Kindly subscribe and click on the notification bell. Select option all to access our broadcast. On Facebook, Bagede Imo with Alawiye Adebayo. Please like and follow the page. On Instagram, Bagede Imo _22. For advert placement of your goods and services, coverage of events and function, please dial the phone number streaming on your screen for advert placement only. Thank you for watching. I am Morire Rebila Lawa. Good evening.
Oh, na, 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 na. If you want to know what's going on in city, or you want to listen to the latest news and gist, no stress, oh, just tune to BGI TV. BGI TV, you're one in a million.